in that points battle, and he's passed you. Now, how do you counteract that this year?
Well, I'd like to change the course of history and come through here at San Jose with a win and carry the momentum through the rest of the season for the Camel Pro title.
Scott Parker, you heard from Chris Carr. What do you think about that?
I'm shooting for that 4th championship, and there's only been one other person in the history to do that, and that was Carol Reese-Weber back in 58 to 61. And that's a lot of momentum to put on me. And the San Jose Mile, I like coming here. I've won 5 here and going for 6.
They're both shooting, of course, for that #1 plate. It's going to be exciting here at San Jose.
Now, Larry, those two championship contenders are certainly not the whole show today. Consider Mike Hale, last year's Rookie of the Year, who has already set the fast qualifying time here this afternoon. There are a lot of guys who want to win the San Jose. 18 Terry Poovey, 16T Steve Beatty, and number 31 Danny Ingram on the front row. Poovey is an interesting story. A brand new team headed by Bubba Schobert, 3-time Grand National champion, who nearly died in a road racing crash.
My reflexes aren't what they used to be, and I don't want to do it if I can't do it like I used to, you know. So I just had to quit a little bit early, but I feel fortunate that I'm alive and that I can still be involved with racing, even though I'm not the rider.
In his new role as an owner, Bubba's getting help from his pal Wayne Rainey, twice world road racing champion. But this team ran into trouble with the very first practice session.
Me and Bubba was going to go out there on the track and stand and turn 1 to tell him where he should shut off, and they wouldn't let us out that far.
Well, that wasn't a big problem, but look here. Poovey is back on the back row. He jumped the start of the heat race, and so now they've got to restart it. He's back on the penalty line with Will Davis. In fact, it's a pretty jam-packed group back there. Look at the big gap up in front as they get ready for the launch here and kick off this 130-mile-an-hour drama. Little creep, and again, that's about as ragged a heat race start as we've seen, but we are underway, and there they thunder down into turn #1 for the first time. Danny Ingram got a big jump, and look at Mike Hale going way up on the outside, Bill. He's been fast from the time they unloaded that thing this morning.
He gets around San Jose very well. He likes the track. He's got a good bike. I think he's going to do well today, Dave.
He's doing well enough right now as he dives down to the inside, picked up the draft, and went all the way to the lead. And look at the entry speed into the corner.
Mike Hale, look at the gap he opens going into 3 and 4. That's the trickiest of the 2 turns on this course. If you master 3 and 4, you'll be the guy to beat.
All right, now here comes my favorite shot in the show. Hang on. Whoa, that's what 130 miles an hour looks like and feels like as Hale immediately begins to open things up here. He's handling. See the #2 bike, the second position machine kind of swerving and wiggling around. That's a traction problem that we'll get into. Danny Ingram is not very well hooked up as they work down the backstretch. And now this becomes a 3-man battle. That's Donnie Estep, number 14, and Ricky Graham moving on the outside. Can you catch him here?
The outside's not where he wants to be. Ricky got it back down to the inside. That's a tough maneuver in 3-4. Coming in off the groove and back down on the groove. Ricky's experienced on this course.
It looks like maybe we've got a race for second developing here because Hale is certainly showing signs of splitting. Here is that battle for second, and we note that these guys are all having a little trouble keeping those motorcycles in line. They're kind of wiggling and skittering around. What's going on there?
You want to be smooth through both corners. Right now, Mike Hale is as smooth as silk. The other guys are bobbling. Hale's moving forward. They're getting sideways.
Last time here, good move by Ricky Graham. They got 3 wide going into the corner. Graham took the inside, grabs second spot, drops Estep to 3rd, and Ingram falls all the way to 4th. Worth noting that only the top 3 move up here, and here come the rest of them. Poovey, number 18, was on the penalty line. Big draft up the inside, trying to get 2 spots, and he's got him. Poovey on the Bubba Schobert Honda is into 3rd. Doesn't want to let his fellow Texan Mike Hale get completely away, but at this point, again, I think they're racing for second.
Pretty much so. I think Mike Hale has broken the draft. He's out by himself. As smooth as he's running, he's going to be tough to catch.
Poovey's charge brings up a good point. We get a nice close look at Mike Hale. See how well it handles effortless riding. Any kind of motorsports, they always say, make the pilot comfortable and the rest of it will take care of itself. Off 4, Ricky Graham. Poovey's charge from a penalty line, representative of the kind of thing that happens on the mile racetracks. You can really make up time using the draft if you've got your motorcycle working well.
If you've got it right, you get in that vacuum behind the rider in front of you. He sucks you along. Next thing you know, you're up front.
Would you look at this? Half a straightaway. This kid from Texas, Mike Hale, has put on Graham and Poovey, a couple of the veterans in this business. Both have seen that big 3-0 come and go. Poovey dives under Graham and into second spot again from the penalty line. And a call for number 72, Larry Pegram, for a couple of laps. He's He's been part of this mix as he followed Poovey to the front. Here's the lead for Hale. Good to see him running so well today. They've really struggled this year. 3 wide for second spot. Who's going to get it in there deeper? Ricky Graham with that same move. Take it in wide, bring it down inside.
That's a risky move because the groove is narrow. He gets it in on the outside, yet manages to get down to the inside of the groove. High-risk maneuver.
And because of how tightly you have to pinch it, how sharp you got to cut that corner, you're in danger of skidding off.
Once you're in the loose stuff, you're in deep trouble, Dave. He took a high-risk move there.
Underneath goes number 72 Pegram at the white flag, indicating 1 to go. Mike Hale will win this in a walk. Anybody's guess who's going to get that transfer spot. Remember, these 3 guys, Poovey number 18, Pegram number 72, Graham number 3, are racing for just 2 positions, 2 direct transfers into the main event. Who's going to be able to make the best move out of this?
Right now, I think the man in the middle is the guy in the catbird seat. He can command the race, depending on how he gets off turn 4.
And if Pegram indeed can capitalize on that, he'll make that transfer. Graham could not find any place to go. Exactly right. As the 3rd man in the group, he was stuck. Here comes Hale down to win it, and the battle for 2nd and 3rd will be decided at the line. Inside move by Pegram. Gee whiz, you're smart. You know all about this stuff. Pegram gets 2nd, and Poovey will take 3rd. Graham will go to the semifinal. We'll go trackside to Larry Myers with our heat race winner.
Mike Hale with the fastest time in qualifying. A runaway victory in heat race number 1. I think it's safe to assume you'll not touch the motorcycle between now and the main.
I think we can improve the bike a little better, yeah.
Generally, when you have a pack of riders behind you, such as you did have, and they're using the draft, you're all alone out in front, they'll catch you. But you were pulling away from them.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I knew I had a tough heat race, and I wanted to try to get a good start, so I'd be up there in the front. I figured we'd be drafting up to the checkered flag, but I was glad to get away from them.
Hale wins the first heat. A team that's been plagued by trouble.
And it works out for the best. We get along real good at the racetrack.
And if I come off the track and I tell him what the bike's doing, he knows exactly what I'm talking about, and we can discuss all our options to make the bike work better. And we're kind of finishing each other's sentences for each other. And when you have the lines of communication that open, it's really an advantage when it comes to putting out good results.
Yeah, it's great. When he wins, I win. It's like I'm on the back with him. And when he gets the flag, I get it too, and I love it.
I've got the most confidence in him that I've ever had in any mechanic that I've worked with, and it makes my job on the track that much more easier when you know that what you're riding is going to be right.
I could always make him go faster than I could ride him anyways, and I knew I had to have somebody that could ride him, and I enjoyed working on him, and he was the best man for the job, I thought, and so it just worked out for the best.
Well, now, Kenny Tolbert may be retired as a Camel Pro competitor, but we have the video proof that he is still a very active racer. Look at his unique line here in a backyard play race with his boss, Chris Carr, as they go battling down into what could very well be the final turn of a major AMA championship race. There is Tolbert taking the lead. Carr comes back, repasses. They're side by side down into the final turn. Watch the move that Carr tries to make here, and boom, kills the engine. Kenny Tolbert squirts by on the inside, throws dirt all over Chris Carr, and celebrates a very, very impressive backyard victory over the title contender, Chris Carr. Congratulations, Kenny Tolbert. That's all in fun. Today it is serious business for Carr as he tries to become #1. Let's take a moment to review the highlights here as he prepares for the main event of this, the junior final. And you're looking at number 15 wide. Down on the inside there is Chris Carr. So the championship battle flanks that front row as we take a look at the starting lineup for the San Jose Mile. Parker is your pole sitter. Mike Hale, runaway winner of the second fastest heat of the day, and Durrell, the other heat winner. In row 2, Ronnie Jones, Terry Poovey, Keith Day, all on Hondas. Atherton, Moorhead, and Graham, 2 Harleys and a Honda as we round out that second row. And starting out back on the field, third row, Will Davis, Jay Springsteen, Billy Herndon, Dave Camlin, and Scott Stump. 17 riders ready to go 25 miles. Scott Parker looking for a record 6th consecutive victory on this racetrack, and he and Carr, the 2 championship contenders, are away, and down they go to turn number 1, and Parker will dive onto the groove ahead of Chris Carr. The championship battle going straight to the front as 17 riders go hammering out of turn 1 and off turn 2 and down the backstretch. Big scramble for positions further back in the pack with Atherton and Springsteen getting way up high. There's a move by Dave Durrell. He wants into the thick of that battle early, and a big charge by Mike Hale, the youngster who has struggled so much this year but ran well in the heat race, really sees an opportunity here today.
Watch, but mostly listen as Hale goes for the lead up the straightaway.
Wide into turn 1, and he's got the lead. It's like an earthquake. You can feel the ground shake when you stand down there on the line. And look at Atherton, way up on the outside, makes a move on Parker, goes all the way to the lead. This kid came out of the semi-final, and he's in the 2nd spot. He's charging.
The exuberance of youth. Both Hale and Kevin are just like young puppies. Wow, he got in that hot time, boy. I don't know how he made the turn. He got in real hot.
I learned that from Scott Parker. Parker's been doing that for years. It was basically the same move that Atherton made earlier on Jones and got in trouble, but he hit the sweet spot, as you describe it, going into 3, and he is now side by side with Hale for the lead, and they have dropped the championship contenders back here to battle for 2nd and 3rd. Atherton really working up on the top of the racetrack.
Yeah, his bike's working great. Most of the bikes won't work that top side as good as Kevin's, and he's just doing a great job in 1 and 2.
Came from the semifinal to lead the race with Mike Hale on his rear wheel as they dive off into turn number 3. Let me go back to a question that began with the Chris Carr heat race. Carr went out fast and early and ran into a problem as a result. Are these 2 kids in danger of having the same problem?
There's that possibility. Watch them go into the turns. They're backing them in. To be successful at the end of the race, you have to save your tires. The guys who 2-wheel in are the guys who are going to be in the hunt at the end.
Backing them in is the classic dirt track style. You slide the motorcycle sideways into the corner. Looks spectacular. Great way to go, but it also wears out the rubber. We'll be back to see if it's a problem for these guys as a great 2-man battle continues up front. It's they for the AMA Camel Pro Mile. 2 of the youthful stars of the American Motorcyclist Association are in the spotlight and overshadowing the championship battle right there. Here's Chris Carr trying to work on Scott Parker, but they're playing second fiddle to the leader, Kevin Atherton, and the 2nd place man, Mike Hale. Both striving for their first national championship win, both really with a lot of motivation here today.
Well, they both want to do good. They want to impress their sponsors, but most of all, they want to get that first national under their belt.
Seems like it's been a long, long time that Atherton's been chasing after it. Hale, on the other hand, was Rookie of the Year last year. This is only his 2nd expert season, and this is the first time he's had the opportunity on the mile to be competitive from the start of the race. So this is new territory. Here's a move by Chris Carr. He passes Scott Parker. He attacks the leaders. Perhaps a strategic move. Wait 5 laps and then make your charge.
I think he wanted to let the race settle out a little bit, get a feel for the track, warm up the tires slow. I think he's going to exercise himself soon.
Parker, meanwhile, has lurked back in 4th spot, seemingly content to let that trio up front make their charge. Atherton charges in deepest as Hale comes after him, but now it is clearly a 4-man race. They had gone 2 by 2 in the early laps, but now it appears the veterans, Carr and Parker, the championship challengers, are there and ready to make a move, and indeed, Carr dives down to the inside. Can he get to the lead? He, for a moment, was alongside Hale, but elected to let him have the line, and again, Atherton working up on the top.
He's got the high line in 1 and 2 working for him, and that's a high-risk maneuver because he's off the sweet spot. It's amazing that he can make it work up there, but it's just aggressive, youthful behavior.
And it's working lap after lap, too. It's not a fluke. It is clearly a strategy for Atherton. He gives up the bottom of the racetrack. Hale takes the bottom and says thank you very much and retakes the lead. We remember him running down the pack at Springfield earlier this year, all by himself with no help from the draft, only to have the shock absorber break. Here is Carr up the inside. He thought about it a lap ago. That time he made the move on Hale. He is into 2nd, ready to challenge Atherton for the lead side. Ooh, and they almost touched it again. Atherton comes out.
Boy, he makes that high line work. They were side by side. That's as close as you can get come off a corner.
Boy, and that's tremendous pressure, too, from the best of the business. That is your current point leader, number 20, Chris Carr, and this time he makes it work. Carr is into the lead for the first time today. Boy, a victory in this race, whatever happens with Scott Parker, would be a tremendous shot in the arm for Chris Carr's championship hopes. 3 races left, counting this one. He knows he's got to beat Scott Parker somewhere between here and the finale, but Parker responds with a charge of his own. They both passed the kids, and now it's the champion and the challenger out front.
You notice all four of them come in on different lines. There's no one way around San Jose.
That's the beauty of these big, wide mile racetracks. Plenty of room to do your business. Here's the charge off into 3. Oh, and Parker uncorks a big one. Parker dives in there big time and takes the lead. We'll be back with more of the drama right after that. Parker and Chris Carr battle for the lead. Right behind them, Kevin Atherton and Mike Hale in a 4-rider duel. The American Motorcycle Institute will name the outstanding rider of this race, and right now anybody in this quartet is certainly a candidate. Parker and Carr have had that honor earlier this season. Hale and Atherton both looking for it for the first time. But perhaps more importantly, and lurking in the background throughout this drama, the battle for that #1 plate. Parker has had it 3 years in a row. Carr has wanted it since he was 5 years old. They are 5 points apart in the championship battle. So much motivation there in that lead quartet with the $100,000 bonus on the line. We almost overlooked the fact that these 3 guys are reeling in that lead quartet. Ronnie Jones, Dave Durrell, and Terry Poovey have their own little draft working. By cooperating, they're reeling in the 4 front runners.
The guys up front better watch out, because the next thing you know, there's going to be a 7-rider duel for the lead.
Durrell has broken out of that pack to take the 5th spot for the moment. Parker goes inside to take the lead from Chris Carr. The only guy in this group that has demonstrated the ability to break away from a pack like this is Scott Parker. He did it here last year at San Jose, and I don't think he's in danger of doing it yet, but you see the battle for second go 3 wide. That means they're giving up the draft, and that's exactly the thing that enables Parker to make that breakaway.
When he gets a little bit of an edge on them, they get to battling with one another and actually may slow one another up. Gives him a little breath of air, and if he takes off, they're going to be hard-pressed to catch him.
Well, there they go again, 3 wide into the corner, because Carr thinks that he can't let Parker take off like that, so he's going to put the kids away and take over second spot. But look how Parker, in the space of 1 lap, has opened up the advantage. Scott Parker is always a threat to do this. It is the worst fear of Chris Carr and the rest of these guys, and there's the worst thing they can do is they go 3 wide into the corner. Atherton moved up on the outside of Carr. Hale saw an opening down on the inside. They're battling each other, stealing one another's lines, and this guy is just chuckling all the way down the backstretch.
Right now, the guys in back are working their motorcycles like steer wrestlers. The guy in the front is doing his ballet dancer routine.
Carr's on the bottom. Atherton is now 3rd. Hale is still hooked into that draft, and that pack is beginning to bunch up as Parker begins to open it up out front. Scott Parker looking for the opportunity here to move within 1 point of Chris Carr in the championship standings. He has won 19 of the last 24 mile track races, and here's the reason why. As he opens up the lead and leaves him racing for second. Carr ducks under Atherton. Very important that he finish no worse than second. If Parker wins the race and Carr is 3rd or worse, he will also lose the point lead. There's Atherton diving underneath, and they have dropped Carr back to 3rd. Hale is there to challenge him. Durrell is on the move. Suddenly it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rider battle for second spot, with Scott Parker opening it up out front. We talked at the top of the show about great battles and great finishes. Parker is trying to make sure this is a great battle for second place. We'll be back. 4, and down across the start-finish line comes Scott Parker, and there you see the interval back to a brawl for second spot with 4 to go. Dave Durrell has taken over the runner-up position. We talked earlier about how he has emerged late in this season as a contender to win these races. Barring trouble for Parker, those guys are all racing for second, and he won't win today, but I'll guarantee you 2nd or 3rd for Dave Durrell would be a great accomplishment in this company. There is Durrell, and the man behind him, Chris Carr, has the most on the line right now. If he settles for 3rd this afternoon, he loses the point lead to this guy, Scott Parker, trying to win that 3rd consecutive championship. In Carr's mind right now, that's got to be the focus. How do I beat this pack and get second spot?
He knows he lost a narrow battle with Dave Durrell in the heat race, and he doesn't want to repeat that right now. it's imperative for him to get second place.
Good point. They raced down to a finish of just inches difference at the wire, and Durrell won that heat race over Carr. Atherton, who was so strong early, hasn't made a move lately. He's been stuck back there in fourth, and right behind him is number 32, Mike Hale, running fifth, and they seem to have lost some of their momentum. Durrell is definitely the guy who has come alive in the last half of this race. White flag in the hands of Jerry Kennedy. Parker, 1 lap to go, and it could be a lap away from the point lead. Carr, feeling the pressure, goes around Durrell. A strategic move there. He apparently feels that he wants to lead Durrell going down the backstretch on the last lap.
Well, if you remember in the heat race, Dave Durrell led off the last corner. It all comes down to this. It's imperative for Chris to get second place in this race. He's going to try leading off this corner and hope Durrell can't pass him at the end.
At stake is the lead that Carr has held since April and still holds as they go into this, the final 2 turns of the race. Parker down to take the checkered flag. Here's the race for second spot. Durrell will come out of the draft at the line. Inside move, and he's short by inches. Carr has held on to second. Parker has won his 6th consecutive San Jose mile and moved within 1 point of Chris Carr in the championship standings. Take a look at the results. Atherton and Hale went out fast early, settled for 4th and 5th, and on to the box, the victory podium, goes Scott Parker, Chris Carr, and Dave Durrell. And look at the